the answering remains coherent, if that is possible, Madam Chair.
Okay. No problem with that. Go ahead.
Thank you for your indulgence. One of the questions that was asked by Council Lady Lopes was relating to flexible persons working within the OLA, and that is actually something that we are starting to think about. It's not really a policy, but it's something that we're thinking about, because we see that if we have to employ the additional persons, then government would have such a big apparatus that our personnel costs would probably run like 75% of our budget, which will be a great strain on our income. Will create a great strain on our income, whereby we wouldn't be able to do nothing at all as a government. Because if you got to spend 75% of your budget on personnel, it doesn't give you room to do investments. And the only way that you can improve on your revenues is when you do new things and that generate money. And that's one of the things that is we looking forward, that if we implement or look at employing people that are more flexible, and of course that would mean that if they're working more flexible, that they would have, let's say if their function description will have to be adjusted, and that would also mean that comes along with a compensation. You cannot ask people to do additional things and then you say, yeah, it is making no money. No, we don't believe in that. If that is the case, for example, if somebody is doing, if I take the example of BIOS, somebody is doing the catering, like say doing the bringing the coffee and so for the rat, and then we ask them also to help with for example promotion, doing other stuff, we have to compensate them. That's all what it means with being flexible. Or in business sense, they would call it, in professional circles, they would call it when you're multitasking. And then there was a question from Council Lady also relating to the late receipt of the free allowances and the repercussions for government and the documentation involved in that. Pertaining to the documentation, we will have to send the documentation later, Council Lady, with your permission. The repercussions for government have been there. It's a challenge because now you have to do your services with less money. And how have we survived? We have survived by the local levies, using the local levies, and some of the monies that were there, we kind of like was prioritizing in doing what we need to do until the free allowance came in. And there is documentation that we have undertaken to point out, listen, these free allowances did not come in and it's causing a challenge for us. And we have also indicated to them that that we will be looking to collect for these late payments. For example, when the free allowance comes in, it also comes with the fact that we are able to generate some income for the OLA because of the interest payments. And these interest payments, we didn't get them. And we have indicated to them, and they have committed themselves that they would compensate us for these interest payments. But it's also twofold. It also relates to what Councilman Simmons said. With the late payments, we find that also we should be compensated for that. And so, Councilman Simmons, we will definitely pick that up too. Take it along, because when you said it, it really struck home that they need to pay for these late payments, because if you're working in a business and you are paying late, it has an effect. And that happened to the OLA recently, about a year ago, that we were working with a contractor, and OLA somehow or the other did not pay on time. And this contractor was adamant that he wants to collect that money. So it is a practice within business circles. So we are looking to do that too. One of the reasons why CFT gave that they were not paid on time was that they were having some bank issues. But bank issues for 6 months is a long time. So that was basically all reaction, And I also personally took it up with Mini Bacchus at the time, because he said he didn't know anything about it when I brought it to his attention. And then he came back a couple of days and he told me, yes, it was being worked on. But in the meantime, that was the first movement, the first problems that we were having with the free allowance. That was the reactions from him for the first part of our problems. But the one that we have now, that we didn't receive any for July, August, and then the September payment, that one we got on time. That was picked up with the CFT, and the CFT indicated that they were having problems. But the first part, the first one, the BZK was saying they had problems with completing the transaction with some kind of bank problems. But it did have our attention right away, and we even escalated it to our 6-week weekly meeting that we have with BZK. We brought it forward and said, listen, this cannot continue like that. So, and they have said they don't expect it to be something that is recurring, but it still happened the last 2 months. But let's see what happens with that. We are going to send a bill. Which one? Relating to the question from Council Lady pertaining to foundations that we remain committed to finances, in the first half of the year, we know that a lot of the foundations don't have the big expenditures, and we are still going to remain committed to complying with our obligations when it comes to the foundations. For example, you have Station Day that's going to take place later in the year, so we are going to remain committed to making sure that they can do whatever they need to do for their activities. And then there was a question relating to the regatta. Did you answer that? Okay. Then you go ahead. You can talk. Yeah, go ahead. This is the tournament.
Good afternoon, everyone. I want to take it a bit back, sorry. I would also like to give my condolences to the family, because this is the first time I'm speaking on behalf of me and my colleague for the day. So I also would like to give my condolences to the family and friends of the late Ms. Kruvat. Thank you very much, Madam Island Council Lady Lopes Spanner, for that question. Yes, indeed, we see that when we have these activities, we have indirect revenues for the island. And we were advertised the upcoming fishing tournament, and that the regattas was normally organized by government, so we're looking to see how we can revive these things. Seeing that culture department right now, it's a bit strapped in terms of personnel and the staffing. We are now also looking into how we can restructure this, also part of the Caribbean Progressive People, which I will get to on the questions coming up. How can we strengthen the department right now? I have some plans, visions, that to see if we can have more of a festivities committee, something similar to what is done in St. Kitts. I spoke with the Minister of cultural economy. I think they have a very attractive name. And he told me how his setup was to see if we can have something similar where we can have maybe the culture department handling most of the content, and then we have a committee that can handle the festivities for government that government arranges. We kind of started with Carnival this year. That was, when you would say, a pilot project with a same idea that we can really feel that revenue impact on the island. I think we were able to achieve that this Carnival, and we're working towards achieving this again next year. But throughout the year, we're working along with tourism to see, well, the new plans that we have for tourism as well, to see how we can make this calendar year so we have like a constant throughout the year. We have activities that can bring in this indirect income. So, you have the race days. We have Station Day. We already know we have Easter, how we can revive Easter back to what it was. And then we're talking with some other stakeholders who have some other ideas for something in October. So together with tourism, of course, and the other stakeholders, we try to make that calendar year that we can have that impulse throughout the year where we get this indirect funding that floods the activities of the island. So that's something that we'll be working towards for next year. I think we missed the timeline for this year for the regatta. But next year, hopefully, we can revive that as well. 2026, there's a lot of plans that we want to try to execute. Yeah, you would call it seasonal tourism, if I can say it like that.
Then we go to the questions from from Councilman Van Putten. I answered how were actions being financed relating to the free allowance. How was it being financed without the free allowance? And the personal.
Yeah, I will start with answering the questions. First, I would like to put a disclaimer, say that I, for one, not touchy. I just want to be very clear with that in case it's being insinuated. I believe every member here has a right to ask questions and get clarity. That is what you're elected for, and that is your job, and I respect that job 100%. You would know exactly within the Island Council, when the Island Council asks something, the Executive Council, I'm very much aware of that and making sure we try to answer as much as possible where the law and the privacy laws or whatever permits. I know Councilman always say that here asking for the public. I know a lot of these questions that he asks were discussed within faction party house meetings. So, like I said, it is nothing to be touchy about. It's about giving information. So I'm very happy that these questions are asked as well, that we can elaborate more on these issues. I will start with the dialysis first. Indeed, he's very much correct. The dialysis, the assignment given to the Executive Council at that time when the motion was passed was to take somebody in dienst, hire the person who will be doing the research. During that whole period, I was the author of that motion, so I would know what the motion said. In my time as the Island Council, during that, we have been seeing that there have been some bumps along the line. Yes, the committee and the person who was hired to do the research started, but some technical procedures were not followed the correct way, and that halted the whole process. Since then, it's my colleague portfolio, Commissioner Merkman, but I asked him if I can take the lead in it. He also takes the lead in geothermal, which is part of my portfolio. So we kind of share stuff, and I asked him if I can continue with the development of this, and he gave me the okay to continue this. Since then, I have discussed with the Griffith office, because the monies that were allocated to pay this person was coming directly from the budget of the Island Council. And seeing that time had passed, we're not sure if that money was there, because you know what happens to money that is not spent. And it's confirmed that the money is no longer is there that was allocated back then to pay for this research. So we have to get back this money so we can finalize this process. In the meantime, everybody knows that the person who was hired has now been working with government full-time. So, of course, we're in a different process there, and we have discussed with legal the way we can go about it to have this research finalized. Because rightfully so, it's been a long time in the Island Council, needs this document so they can lobby. If I can recall 100%, the motion was just asking the Executive Council to have this research done, and once the research done, the Island Council would have taken this document and I guess decide how they want to go forward with it. So the next question, the next step would be, then once the document has been finalized, the Island Council have instructions to us, or maybe they want to lobby on their level with other parliamentarians in Holland to see we lobby on our level as Executive Council with the ministry. Because I think, like Councilman Van Putten said, we met in the same room and the offer was there, but of course the ministry didn't want to move, because I think that the offer was we would come and give the initial, we will put the investment down. All we would need is a guarantee that the patients would use the system. If they don't use the services, then basically you're not going to have, the traffic for it. And in that discussion, we weren't getting much of a positive feedback. And as Councilman Van Putten so rightly said, the indications that we get already was more than we were even expected. And knowing that now we're in even 2025, I believe it was 2023 or 4 when we got an update. The machines are now so advanced. So the issues that we were afraid of back then is basically now negated. No more issue with water. I think they're equipped with reverse osmosis. So I think they're equipped with ensuring that the water is up quality. And then we also understood that the new machines now also tracks the healthiness of the shunt. So you can know ahead of time if you'll have an issue with a shunt. So it will not be a surprise like, they're stating here. And as you said, the same time they will have to go to St. Martin. Bonaire also, when it comes to those specific cases, they also send their people across. So that is where we stand. We're hoping to have this finalized by the end of the year at least, where the Island Council could then have this report. We'll have to find the money. I'm not sure if in the second amendment we were able to reallocate this 10,000. If not, we'll have to see what can be done to reallocate this and have the other funding available for the rest of the team so we can finalize this research and to present it to the Island Council. In terms of the selection by Mr. Van Putten, he asks, what are the government procedure policy? Right now, as stated again, we are in a house that we discussed. The Progressive Caribbean People is working on a plan, an assessment. Let me say it like this. All the discussion we're having now about flexibility, the type of personnel, how big, how small, they're working on this. The first phase has been finalized. They're basically also working with the governing program of 2023 to 2027 to see how those wishes can also be incorporated in terms of what does the government organization looks like. Example, within the governing program, it talks about a constitutional affairs department. Right now we don't have that. We also talk about an economy department, an education department. These are things that are already started, but also as part of the governing program. So they're using that as their premise to see how does this look like for robust hate, if we would want to use that word again. So they're also working on a function book, evaluating it, could have not been evaluated since 2013. I think, pass me the computer there. So that is one of their assignments as well. So in phase 2, they will be now speaking with the different departments, making an assessment to see what really is needed when it comes to government workers, departments. We recently expanded the LVV department, which was brought here, where we now have not only unit manager back again, but we also have extension officers, because we realize in order for us to carry out what we want to in terms of food security, having the department as is will not work. But there may be departments as well. We realize that we can shrink and not have to be expanded. Based on the personnel requests that came in from the different departments for the 2026 budget, as my colleague was saying, I think the unit manager was talking about its big head. We see that we have, a lot more vacancies besides the 48. We have 50 more people they were saying they wanted to bring in. So we had to really cut that. I will stand firm and agree with Councilman Van Putten 1,000,000% that it is not a realistic budget. It is not. I would say this is my first time really taking part in a budget activity on this side of the aisle. When I came in last year, it was already finalized. And the struggles that you have to go through just to balance a budget, the priorities that you have to make. I mean, Van Putten was saying Councilman Van Putten was saying these things years and years. And now we're experiencing the brunt of it. I mean, I think we always did, but now it gets worse when you realize that we get more, we would say, obligations that we have to meet ourselves financially. So they tell you, put a raking camera in place, put this in place, put that in place. We have also seen during the discussion as well, especially by some departments, that there are special allowances coming on the stream, especially for social domain. And I think we discussed that in the bill as well. We have to set our priority. Maybe for Stacia is not a priority. We rather go direction B instead of A. But then the money is there for A. And then we're getting basically saying, hey, if we don't take this money, you're going to go back. Sabre have it. Bonilla has it. And then we're left here wondering how we're going to execute this now because we don't have the personnel to do so. But yet we are kind of like, you know, it's a stronghold because you have the monies there. You don't want it to go back. But is it a priority for us at the moment? No. But of course, it's something nice we would like to have for the island too. So that is where we kind of strapped when it comes to carrying out certain projects in with special allowances. But we're working very, very hard on the personnel plan internally. I know Miss Council Lady Spanakati, she passed the motion on personnel. They are working on that. They're also working internally. I understood about the verjaarding and how they will be able to fill those positions. And the company that we hire in will not be handling that, but they are working on it internally and they already have a draft. I was just informed that the draft is there and they'll be sending to the Executive Council, which we will also send on to the Island Council to show the plans, how they plan to deal with the verjaarding of personnel. Let me see what else I have. Oh, Orange Bay. We have just put out a notice about what is to come for Orange Bay. Yes, indeed, it's part of the settlement that we had to acquire. We make an assessment and the idea is to rent or sell, whichever one comes first. But when we make an assessment of the building, we realize that this tendering is something beyond us as OLE. If you want to really grab somebody, it goes back to what Council Lady Spanalope said. You know, you want to make sure that whatever you do in terms of investment have this impact on the island. And we are ensuring that we grab a great investor, whatever investment can really be an investment that has this big impact on the island. So because we want to reach that milestone, realize that, you know, we think we should hire in a person to work on this for us. During the Peter Uleman's conference, I think 2 years ago, there was an investor who made a presentation. So I reached out to him to see if that's a service that they can give. So right now we're in discussions about this to see how they can assist us. And once we have some more information on that, we will come back to the council. But we're hoping to have this tender out pretty soon. We already signed the NDA with the company, and they asked some questions, so we're working on those answers so they can know how to position, how to help us with marketing when it comes to putting out the tender for this structure. The idea is that once it tendered out, the loan that we're paying, we can cancel out. So hopefully then it won't be a burden to us, but mostly a neutral position. When it comes to the racetrack, indeed, this is a promise made years ago, and I really thought Council Lady Spanner would have asked about it. So we have been trying since my inception into the Executive Council. I met with the committees. Like I said, I mentioned a few times back, the willingness wasn't there 100% to form a stronghold. I would say a board. I call it an umbrella board to work together. So since then, I went back to the joint board and we had a meeting with them, not me specifically, but we brought in a consultant, a person who's working with government in other areas, but to help us work on a tender as well for the racetrack. They received some feedback. I'm supposed to have a meeting with him coming up soon to see what are the next steps, but there already is a rough draft. The idea, of course, is to work with the local persons already who is doing the race, but we feel that if we can tender it out with a concession, then it will be run more like a business and not something for, like you would say, for fun. We want to ensure continuity as well, because we're making big investments into this, and we want to ensure that our investment doesn't go dormant after a couple of years or a couple of months. So this is the direction that we're going into with respect to the racetrack. We're hoping that we can finalize this as well by the end of the year. And yeah, I think that's what we have with that. The road behind the mountain, that is a very, I would say, a pain discussion, knowing that we are still dealing with the issue of land ownership. We have went ahead and said we're going to try to build the road as is, but there's difference of opinion here and there. But we feel that we cannot delay this process any longer. We recently, I think 2 weeks ago, received a request because, of course, as you know, there was not enough money to build the road behind the mountain based on the budget. So we requested to get an advance of all the years. So I think it's 26, 7, and 8. We asked them if we can get it in one lump sum so we can manage the road behind the mountain. It will not be only the road behind the mountain, but as Councilman Van Putten said, by Lynch, Big Stone, and then the road behind the mountain. That is the target areas. We're working on putting our road team together because we realize that the work is not maybe balanced properly, and we're not really getting the timeline that we want to reach. So we are already putting a team together. And we're hoping that we can also, for the road behind, so we can see some more movements on that, seeing that the monies has now reached our accounts, I think 2 weeks ago. So we have now the monies that we can actually start the whole process for the road behind the mountain. We'll keep the Island Council, of course, the public as well, duly informed, because like I said, land ownership is an issue and we want to push past that. And let's see how we go when it comes to that. What are we doing to improve the roads long-term, short-term? So that's part of it as well. So we have monies that comes from special allowances to build the roads, short-term and long-term. Right now with the potholes, me and my colleague, we share that portfolio. Even though DROP falls under E&I, my colleague, he handles that on my behalf. But we're working to see, the question is, what do we want from DROP? If you look at DROP right now, it's pretty much on the staff. Persons has gone on retirement. And the question is, what is the picture? What do we want to achieve from DROP? I believe that picture has changed from government to government to government, because that's what I understood. But the question is, do we keep a lot of services by us, or do we put those services outside? So at the moment right now, due to the workload that DROP has, the patching of the roads is not possible to be done by DROP. So we are looking to see how this can be done differently. We already started it and seeing for a short-term process if this can work. If it doesn't make any sense, then we will go back towards putting it by DROP. But we are trying to play with different scenarios of how we go about that. I want to go back to filling of vacancies as well. We're also now, we just finalized our new Selectie and Werving beleid. It's more digital now, so a lot of the issues that we're seeing that we experienced before, we believe that we now will negate some of those. So everything, the start process to the end process, is now fully digital. So I want to commend the Department of HR for that. We're looking to see if we can fill a vacancy within 79 days. It sounds very long, but as a start to finish for when the vacancy goes out. There's a recruiter that's also helping us to deal with filling of vacancies, who will be working very closely with unit managers and directors in this case. And they will be assisting with the recruitment of filling some of these vacancies that we have. Of course, most of the longest part of the whole part of finalizing a vacancy is the part of the hereby. Everybody knows the timeline that he has and the extension that he has. So it cannot be shortened. That's what it's stating, that 79 days is the best that we can do. So we're hoping that we can still try to do it in less of a time. I think the housing thing is yeah.
Pertaining to the ordinance for the housing, there was a draft, and that draft was sent to the Island Council for perusal. So it's by the Island Council. We know that at the start of the year, we made a proposal based on the LOE, to get the sale of the houses moving as quickly as possible. The Island Council came with a motion, and in that time, it was the sale of the houses was stopped for 45 days, and in the meantime, the individuals involved that were carrying out this process, they were not on the island, and when the process was picked up again, it was vacation time, and the individual that is really also involved in this, the one that is a consultant, he's not on the island at this time. He's going to be back on the 24th of September, and then we have now formed a committee, now 4 persons that will be specifically only dealing with the sale of the Golden Rock houses. So there has been many roadblocks in this process that have stopped the sale of the Golden Rock houses. That was very unfortunate, because there's a LOE, and as an executive council, we have to stick to the LOE. And I think Councilman Simmons mentioned it some time back. When you start to add things, it retards the process. So my plea to the Island Council is, let's stick to the LOE, because and the Island Council has also given their approval that, listen, go ahead with what you have, and that's what we are doing at this time relating to the housing, to the sale of the Golden Rock houses. We are going to move with what we have as expeditiously as we can. But there are other stakeholders involved that have to work along with us to get this process expedited in a efficient manner.
Order or point of clarification? You may speak.
Just to clarify, because we had this discussion before, that the Island Council stopped the process for 45 days. That's not correct. The Island Council have the right. They are the only one that can authorize, yes, under the sale of the Golden Rock houses. I'm not going back into the discussion pertaining to market value and all of that, because that will live a life of its own. But we had an agreement. That agreement was not followed. The Island Council, realizing the realities of these houses, we came with emotion, an instruction basically, where we said we is coming with this in Malacca subsidy. There was a meeting, we had discussion. Right in here we said, listen, we don't want to delay the process. First it was mentioned 60 and then later 45. And I think within the span of 2 weeks, or maybe a little over that, the Island Council came back here. So the government had enough time to be able to proceed. And we said in the Island Council that even though we are coming with that motion, and we could go back and listen to the tapes, it should not delay the process. Because if there were people who were saying that they could buy them, we said you could come with the subsidy or whatever. So I don't want it to be said out there, an impression be created out there, that the Island Council stopped the process. Because even if the ordinance wasn't passed, and people had the money, and the Island Council felt still, we want to contribute that amount that was agreed upon to the people, that was possible. And I'm hearing now that who's away and who coming back and coming with extra committee. Look, again, I'm saying I don't want to sit on the chair of the Executive Council, but the Executive Council must also respect the authority of the Island Council. The Island Council passed an instruction. We know that it caused a whole confusion because the reaction was evident from the meeting we had there with the legal people. And just, I think maybe 2 weeks ago, we got a letter stating that it can be done. The Island Council said to government, go and find the money. That is what we want done. And that is what we're going to insist that the government carry out the instruction that was given. Because as I said back then, when government want to find money to do other things that they are interested in, they do it. And the Island Council, majority of the Island Council stated very clear. And now we identified it was 1 million surplus. And I think my colleague, Mr. Smith, in his wisdom, even came with I think it was a thing from the Erasmus Cloud, identifying that. And in a meeting, not in public, but in the party house, we said to the commissioners, we will use that money because we are not going to back down on the motion at instruction. That is what we said must happen, and the Island Council would use its authority to make sure it happened. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilman. You may continue, Commissioner Merkman.
Thank you, Thank you, Madam Chair. Again, if I remember how that meeting went correctly, there was a proposal for 60 days, and my colleague commissioner at the time said, listen, that's going to be a long time, and she proposed 45 days that we come back, and rightly, it didn't take 45 days, and that was in May, and it came back just before we traveled to the Netherlands in June. And on my travels to the Netherlands, I came across the director of the Statia Housing Foundation, and I told him at the time, please pick up this process because it has now been agreed that we can continue the process because he was coming from Holland on a training. And there were 5 persons that were not interviewed, and I asked him to complete that process as soon as possible. And we got the information from him in the first week of July. And we are now proceeding with that. And the ordinance was also brought in the Island Council on the 10th of July. That we came back with a subsidy ordinance on the 10th of July. And so the process has continued steadily based on that information.
Just to clarify, the commissioner said the information come on the 10th. I heard him said a while ago that
sorry. That was the education ordinance. Sorry.
Yeah.
No, but the ordinance I sent to you all. The draft ordinance was sent to you all, I think 2 weeks ago.
But I just looked to 1 or 2 of the colleagues, and we did not receive the ordinance. I remember in a meeting that we had with board commissioners in the party house, we requested that that ordinance be forwarded. And I didn't see it. I looked at the assistant. He didn't see it either. I think the colleagues didn't see it. So we would like to request, whether it's your office or the office of the Griffier, to ensure that we get that ordinance ASAP. Because I didn't see it. And my assistant said he didn't see it either.
Thank you, Councilman Van Putten. You may continue, Commissioner Merkman.
Thank you. I think it's what Councilman Van Putten is saying. I applaud what you are saying. That when we be having movements like these, that it goes through the Madam Registrar, because then it is duly noted. So I agree what you're saying, and I will do that today itself, as soon as I sit. I touched what Councilman Simmons referred to pertaining to late payments and more business-like actions involved, and he's applauding to send a bill, and I agree with him. Pertaining to court cases, on page 12, from Council Lady Spanner, Carty, at that time, we were faced with some challenges, but in the meantime, according to as far as both of us are aware of, we don't have any pending court cases because that's something that we dislike. We dislike going to courts, and most of the time when you go to court, it involves something with money, and we don't really have any money, access money to be playing with. Yeah.
Just to add.
Point of Council Lady Spanacarty, point of clarification. You may speak.
Yeah. Commissioner Merkman, just it states in the disclaimer, so I would appreciate then an explanation as to what it means, because it states the budgeted results up to the second quarter does not include the possible financial effects of current and pending court cases and or additional or increased fines. So I agree with you. I don't like court cases either, but it would have if it has an effect on the budget, I don't think you all are speaking things into existence. I feel this statement was made based on something that is current.
Let me clarify what I mean. I didn't want to be too explicit, but you were right. There was something pending with a contractor that and it referred to late payments that they wanted to we thought we had an agreement with them, and they were discussing that they wanted to bring that back into play. But in the meantime, we have had some mediation with them, and that we have agreed to stick to the old agreement. Sorry? Boo! Sister? Council Lady, it's a lot of money you're talking about. You know, it's a lot. It's in the hundreds of thousands.
Yeah, just to add a bit more to that, we're hoping that we can finalize that soon. So we went on a table with a mediator since last year. We're back and forth trying to finalize the official contract. There was a agreement made after the mediation, but you know, of course, it takes a time and back and forth negotiation, and we didn't see eye to eye in certain things. And now we're at the final stage. Hopefully, by this week, we can finalize the settlement agreement with the contract, and then we go from there. So we don't want to mention the contractor name. We can do that internally, yeah. So just so you can know what this is. But the name was mentioned apparently in previous budgets. But because now we don't know where we stand, because we can think we're going in the right direction, and tomorrow they change back their mind, and we still have a pending court case. But all other cases, as Councilman Van Putten said, one of them we got a loan for, and this was the second one that was pending.
You got.
State, point of clarification, point of order.
You
may speak.
I asked the Commissioner of Finance to speak about the collection processes. I didn't hear him give an answer to that. I think there was some other thing, but in the second round I will come back on that. But the collection for sure is important.
Thank you, Councilman.
Pertaining, there was a question also. I will deal with the collections now because there's also a question from Council Lady Spanacarty relating to that. Currently, we have started on a new process where we are looking for. We have started with invorderingen, and where it would be able for us to even maybe go over to add in like fines. So we have a new gentleman working at the finance department, and we are working to improve in that area. So we expect that our collections will be going better. You know, so we're duly working on it. And it's still in the implementation phase, but it has our concern, our serious concern. So thank you, both Councilman and Lady, for that question. The travel allowances, there was a question relating to the travel allowances, and that also is being worked on from within your office, your department, the Island Council, and it's not the registrar's office, and it's not only dealing with the allowances. It's other things. What you mentioned, Council Lady Spanner Kati, that is being looked at. So what you are saying, we expect to have something from finance. And now they're waiting on the advice from finance to move forward with this. You have this, the birds. Yeah.
I have a question about the birds. And it was quite an experience. I didn't really want to go. And then the island secretary told me, you need to go and experience this. What I liked about the birds is that they had like a Caribbean section. So everybody from the 6 islands, I think Suriname, they was on one section. St. Martin, it doesn't matter if it was government, it was hospital, it was businesses. Everybody was in one section. So we got a lot of interest. Based on the report I got, we had 112 applicants from the fair. 4 were taken along in recruitment. We received 4 appointments. It's from the birds. 4 persons appointed from the birds. And we also reached 3 interns, which are local persons, who now 2 will be having an intern at Statia. So what we want to do better is that we want to, ahead of time, reach out to the students so we can collaborate with them with different type of vacancies who are living on the island. Because that is what we missing the connection. So going forward, HR department will plan a way that we can meet with the students on the island, and also then they can also be part of the birds. To say if it would be here, based on the feedback that we get from HR, if it would be good to have one on Statia. Basically, they're basically saying that it's best to have it in Holland because we attract more people. We attracted people from Suriname, Curacao. What I saw was a lot more persons in the younger age in terms of old. I don't want to say old because it's but persons more in the 50s, 60s that we saw were very interested, to come to the island. We look at it as a way too as well that it also helps us create a space for our local students who are studying and can come back. So you're not, even 50, 60, you only have like about 10 years or 5 years in the position, and then we can hopefully get the persons who are studying and we can help them to fill certain positions. So that is what I had liked about it. But it was a very good experience, and next year we will be taking part again, but we will add the component where we actually meet with our students in the different various levels and see how we can tag them on when it comes to the different vacancies that we're looking to fill. If I can just go back to a bit about the succession planning. Succession planning is being worked on by P&O. We have an overview of persons going on pension, and we are doing planning either via development of employees to fill the position or via early recruitment. So, like I said, once we have that plan in place when it comes to that succession, then we will share this as well with the Island Council. Yeah.
Point of order, Mr. Van Putten. Clarification.
Clarification to respond to what the Commissioner of Personnel Affairs saying. You're talking about the succession plan. Is government also taking along the salaries and other fringe benefits? Because there's a lot of young people, and I believe you don't want to see the word old, but it's a reality. We are going to get old. But I think there are 2 things I think you need to look at, in my opinion. You must have a mixture of experience and youth. I think that is very important. If you have people 50 in the 50s and they're willing to come in for 10 years, because I heard they want to carry them now to 67. But in any event, I believe that one of the challenges that we have here is the type of salaries we are offering people. If you study like a place in the Netherlands, maybe you start a family there, you got loans to pay back, and you are getting a certain amount of money in euro. It is very unlikely that you're going to come to the island to work, for peanuts. Even though you're from here, everybody maybe wouldn't want to do that. So I would like to ask government if they are taking those two factors into consideration. If not, I would like to advise that they do so. Thank you.
Councilman, Commissioner Lirdam, you may continue.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, definitely. I would like to reiterate, I think I said so last time, based on the harmonization, government has been put in a very good positions to offer very good salaries, and we are offering very good salaries right now. Hence, you're seeing a migration. I mean, you talk about weakening the private sector. Now, government is a contender outside in the market. There's a discussion how we cannot fight against each other because, of course, Bonia, Sabre, and Stacia is shopping in the same market. And, of course, maybe Bonia may have a little more better salaries than Stacia. What we will do with the function book is that then maybe how they are being scaled, maybe not being scaled the correct way. So you scale them differently and then you offer the better salaries. But right now, salaries are pretty good within government. And that is why you're seeing the extreme high personnel costs as well. So it is taken into account because we want to be able to not only attract them, but to keep persons as well. So the new selection in Reverend Bellet is talking about not only how do we attract them, but how do we keep them within government apparatus.
Relating to the questions from Councilman Smith, with the 1.2 million, it relates to the infrastructure surrounding the GVP school. That's what it relates to. But because we didn't have to cover it this year, we moved it to 2026. The revenues of the harbor have been declining for years, and that is because of the general movement of shipping, and it's more expensive to the oil prices have gone up, so there's less movement coming to Stacia, really coming to our harbor. So that's one of the reasons why we have less income. The revenues that we also receive from the shipping within New Star is not at the peak. We have heard for many years, we are hearing now that things are not going good at New Star, and that is reflected within the movements within the harbor also.
We're also trying to find ways that we can make collection easier at the harbor and trying to digitalize some of that. Like for instance, we're still a concept. We spoke with finance department. We got to finalize with IT. But when you go to McDonald's, even Subway in St. Martin Harvard, you can just toot, and then you can make a payment. We want to do that for the fees at the airport in the harbor to see if that'll be a bit more easier for us in terms of collection, and also where we don't have to add really an next FTA, or it can be combined. And that is what I think, like I said, the unit manager was talking about. We don't create positions and then after we are top heavy. So we want to start to use technology integrated into the system, but we don't want to make it seem that you're going to lose your job, because that's not the case. We're just trying to work smart, if I can say it like that, and not hard. And we realize that, especially like I explained, how the new system for recruitment going to be digitalized, it takes away a lot of the paperwork and the processes. Everything is just digitalized and it goes a bit more faster, transparent, it's more easier. So we want to just start to bring Stacia on that as well and be more digital when it comes to certain revenues that we want to collect.
That was mitigating the losses. The privatization of two entities. I think one was negative and one was possible, potential. And the one would be potential would be the harbor, because at that time the harbor was really the only entity that was really generating a profit. At the airport, we're not at that stage yet. The advice for the airport was negative, because if you want to privatize something, we believe it should be able to stand on its own. And that is currently not the case at the airport. moving vacancies to external contractors. What is meant by that is that it's just administrative process whereby it was on the vacancies that was being taken up by the consultants. We moved it from that and put it by the post that relates to the consultants. That's all that means, moving to contracting. Yeah, you got it.
I think the last question is the reaction to the audit chamber report about the personnel hiring. We are working on that reaction, and as soon as we have that, not only a reaction, but recommendations, response towards that report. I believe that we have made some strides already in this area, and as soon as we have that, we will also share that, of course, with the public and also with the council. I think we owe Councilman Van Putten a question. I think he asked about investments and what the plans are. And like I said, going through this budget, especially for 2026, was a nightmare because you have all these plans that you want to execute, investment, but then we have so little bit of cash flow, and then you have to be juggling and trying to prioritize what is the most important that we can do. The discussion, of course, is not to people knock your hand all the time to the different ministries, but at the end of the day, they have an obligation to that they have to comply with, and we are making sure that they comply with their obligation. And I think Councilman Simmons said it clearly. You want to keep the children, you have to also comply with your obligations. But being that said, we too as a government have to see what is our best path or best investments that can generate revenues back to the island. The Commissioner of Airports, Commissioner, my colleague, he have the big plan. We all heard about this airline that wants to start, that needs to start, that promises better prices, which has a big spin-off for the community when it comes to tickets, tourism, yeah, you can name it, it's there. But of course, we need some monies to invest in the tarmac and also in the hangar. And the hangar costs about $700,000. That is about the same money that you want to give towards a subsidy. So my question would be then to the council, what is more important for the council at this time? To invest in 25 persons to get a home, or we can invest into the entire island that has a spin-off that is bigger than just the airport collecting extra revenues, but also the same spin-off that Council Lady Spanner Lopes talk about, the tourism, the impact, the community impact, the hotels, the supermarkets, you name it, activities, because we have easier accessibility to the island. So when we have to juggle these investment in a priority, it becomes very, very difficult because the 1.something million is just nothing, basically, when you look at all the things that you want to achieve, and then again, you're challenged by so many other factors that affects how to achieve those. Maybe you don't have the personnel in-house right now, you have to hire somebody. So, on one hand, you're saying that we're begging, but on the other hand, also when we are trying to make investment that have a big return to the island, and we're being stopped. So it goes back to the Island Council and asking, how do you want to do it? And I'm bold enough to say it. I'm going to make the statement. At the end of the day, I personally believe that 25 people, we are reinvesting in them because we're giving them the notary costs and we're giving them the electricity. So we are already reinvesting $250,000 in those persons, and to come with a subsidy that will only target 25 people, and that money can be used towards an investment that can have a bigger spin-off. I tend to question then, and not only that, the repairs of a house, the sale of a house goes to repair of a house. There's again, you see that we're begging Holland. We all know the LOE says that hopefully they will give us money to repair the next homes, but we don't know what the possibility is, when they're going to do it, how they're going to do it. The government changes their mind every 2 seconds in Holland, and then here now we're going to have where we can't even sell a house or repair a house. And I don't know if I was living in those homes, if I would like to see my fellow Golden Rock family living in the deplorable state that they say it's so bad in. And I basically gave away a house, and I could not even find the monies to repair a house. So if we can sell a house to repair a house based on the rate right now, then when we sell 25 homes, we will try to make sure that we can find that extra 250 to put back so we can repair 25 homes. And then the monies that we will be getting from Holland, if they do give the money, will be less. And then we know for sure if Holland take 10 years to give the extra money, at least we ensure that 25 extra people is living in a good state and not in a deplorable state. So we have to, again, make choices. And I would see...
Clarification, Councilman Van Putten.
Should have gone at a different, have it named probably in the second one. I don't know if I'm in the mood for it. But what I'm saying is that I wanted to know from governments that in the past we had an investment officer. Because we talk about a lot of different things. There's a lot of investment possibilities. Prior to the leader coming into government as a commissioner, we discussed about a number of things. There are investors out there that is ready to come and invest in station. That's a fact. And we need to seek them out. And I think that if we have an investment, you don't have a Department of Economic Affairs because that was cut out. So I believe with a Department of Economic Affairs or with an investment officer, like was the case in the past, it could help to have a name a lot. But now the commissioner showed a curveball to the Island Council and making a choice for the houses. I still believe it was a mission, it was a commitment that the Progressive Labour Party government during their campaign made to the people about ownership. And I don't want to get into the political semantics, but maybe when the commissioner is drinking tea and coffee with her colleague, maybe she should try to convince him to go back to what we were talking about before. Because if we didn't come up with this, this market value, maybe the houses will just be cheaper. Because I heard a commissioner in one of the party house meetings. I don't want to bring up party business in here. But in the party house meeting, he talked about the proposal that the unit manager had. And probably if we did play hardball and negotiate better and different with the Netherlands, that maybe the money what we're talking about market value would have been foregone. I understand the point that you're making, what a spin-off could be. But I think there's a lot of different things because in the second round we are talking about possible airlines and all. I'm going to come and comment more on that. But I am saying I maintain, I could only speak for me. If it come up as a discussion, my other colleagues in my faction would have to make up their mind what they want. But for me, a commitment made should be a commitment kept because I think it is just important for those people to own the houses. And if we were selling them less and we didn't take all this time in selling them, I think the situation would have been different. Thank you very much.
Gentleman Van Putten, I just want to, as chair, bring to everyone's attention when it comes to the market value, there's nothing anyone in this meeting can do about the market value. I have before me here Article 10 of the FinBES. I know that we may have ambitions, but at the end of the day, the FinBES supersedes any intentions that we may have. Let me speak, sir. Alienation of assets of the public body in any manner whatsoever shall take place at market-conform conditions. That's Article 1 of 10 in the FinBES. Article 2, decisions to alienate immovable property, shares, bonds, and concessions, and movable property require the approval of Onze Minister. Also, Article 3 outlines approval may be withheld if it conflicts with the law or with the financial interests of the public body. And Onze Minister, our minister, Article 4, may indicate that types of decisions specified by him do not require the approval referred to in the second paragraph. I think what the commissioner is trying to say, because I have sat with the unit manager and the director recently in the preparation to come to this council with the budget wijziging, and the concept they have shared with us, as Statia government, we want to do a lot of things. And they said to us clearly, at some point, you have a lot of ambition, but somewhere along the way, you have to make some choices. And I think that was a clear message that came to us from the professionals within our finance unit. So yes, I know that we have commitments, we have made commitments, but the law is also leading in this regard. That is my contribution to this part regarding the social housing, which is real estate. Councilman Van Putten, yes?
Yeah, thanks for the lecture. But I know the law just as good as you. And I said to you before, and I said to this council, any law that is there, the only laws that can change is the 10 Commandments. The 10 Commandments, and don't ever forget that. But any law that isn't there, concessions can be made. I am not saying the law is not there, but it also gives the governments the opportunity to be able to go and say, well, this is the law, but this is the reality. And that's what I'm talking about. So I am not talking about what your minister, because we're talking about UNSA minister, I don't see them as an UNSA minister. To be very clear, the public must know that. So you're not going to get me with this nonsense about UNSA minister. The bottom line about the matter, the Island Council, and with extension the Executive Council, have to champion the interests of the people of this country. In Holland, all the time, they, what you call this thing, the slope houses, when there's a certain amount of years. And when I look at the condition of the houses in Golden Rock, I think if we didn't make a case, using even our local expertise, I know the outcome could have been different. So I understand the law very clearly. I have no problem with the law, but I'm just saying that locally we could have made a case and we would have come up with a better deal because we organized a visit to go to the houses. I didn't get to go because of the presidium, but my colleagues went. And I think that they can give you a good understanding. We also had a tape made as to the condition of the houses. So all what you're talking about the land, your minister, and blah, 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 because even this nonsense about the minister have to make a decision in Holland when the municipalities want to buy or dispose of properties, they're not doing. And we are so proud to sit here talking about our UNSA minister. UNSA minister, the laws that we have is suppressing our people because they are not doing it over there in Europe. But they are basically telling you how to develop your country, how to govern. The Executive Council, where you are the chair, makes a decision in conformity of the law. And we have a senior civil servant who they call a government, a kingdom representative, having to sanction that decision of the Executive Council before it could come to law. I think the commissioner just talked about 79 days, if I understand her right. I mean, come on. So we need to wake up to the reality, and you're proud as a local, sitting there in your capacity, talking about, I am not talking about our UNSA minister, because UNSA minister, the laws that UNSA minister is carrying out is having their knee in the neck and stifling the people and de facto development in this country. So I can't talk about our UNSA minister.
And it is my role as the chair of this meeting to bring clarity to the existing laws, and it always says that the higher law, which is the law of the kingdom, supersedes the local laws. And that is all it is my role to do here as the chair of this meeting, and not to be in contradiction to you or anyone in the council. It is just for public awareness and public information. Yes, Councilman Van Putten?
Madam Speaker, as I said, we are not going to get in any debate, but I don't need you to lecture me about your laws. I serve as a member of the Parliament of the Netherlands Antilles. We make laws. I have been here for over 20 years, going in 30 years, maybe over 30 years. I know in the days of the Antilles, the laws of the Antilles could not supersede that of the kingdom. The local laws could not supersede the Antillean law. And I know our laws cannot supersede, but it doesn't mean that if there's a law and it's not in the interest of my people, that I can't stand up and defend and ask for some leniency. Because again, I'm saying only the 10 Commandments will not change. And even though the laws are there, and it's not in our interest, it's not benefiting our people, not you, because you was appointed to represent them and to safeguard their interests. But the 5 members of the Island Council and the 2 commissioners have a political and moral responsibility to defend the interests of the people of this country. And that's all I'm saying.
On a final note, the WorldBest and the FinBest are up for review, and the council today made a decision that it will champion those two laws and the changes, and I encourage you to continue to do so. But until then, until the law changes, that is what it is. You may now continue, Commissioner Merkman.
Yes, I would like to dispel the myth that in my capacity as a Commissioner of Housing that I did not do anything to deal with the market price. When I came in as Commissioner, there was a estimate that really sets the market price. And based on that, I had some difficulty with that. And that is one of the things I said in this council blatantly. I had some difficulties with that market price, and I commissioned another company to do a study, and they came up with pretty much the same price, and I even got a local to do estimates, and he came up with prices that were basically the same area. So when you say that I didn't do anything to challenge the market price, I vehemently refute that. And based on that also, I have been busy with this housing situation to get the best price available for the people of Station. That to that extent, a proposal was made that let's cover the notarial costs that are involved with the sale of the houses, which brings down the final tally that would have to be put on top of the table. And also, based on that, again, fighting for a better situation, I went with a high representative over there, and we looked at the houses, and we, knowing that the electricity was a serious concern, we also were able to move to get the electrical costs taken care of. So to say that we are not looking to do nothing, that we are just accepting what is taking place or what is put before us, I tend to disagree very seriously with that.
Present the people who don't want to wait and who have a problem, let them go. The people put me here and I'm going to represent them. I did not say that the government didn't do anything. I did not say that. I am saying that maybe more could have been done. I didn't say that nothing was done because we have been having a long discussion pertaining to these houses for years. For years. And when I look at the condition of the houses, because the commissioner himself is on record, he went there with your former deputy. And when he was asked in a meeting of the Island Council, he said he didn't even want to recommend a price because the houses was in such a terrible condition. But he's also on record for saying, and I remember when we came here with the ordinance to give some relief to the people, he said, do what all you want. But keep in mind that it have to stick to the market value. Go back and check the tapes. So I didn't say the government didn't do anything. I didn't say the government didn't do anything. And he also had some issues with the companies that do the study. Because he said they were basically the same thing. He was suspicious about them. Now I'm hearing him saying there was a local company involved. So my point is, whether they do or they didn't do, and I didn't say that they didn't do, point is the condition of the houses. And seeing that over the years the government did not put the kind of money, invest the kind of money in them, what it costs for them to be built at the time, and what they are at this point, and more even so, if we didn't store up and Basal had got those houses, it would have been by the stroke of a pen. So they wouldn't have paid a cent. We wouldn't have this kind of discussion. But we promised the people, we will ensure that they get a house, that they own a house. And again, I'm saying it's a burning shame with the kind of money that we are talking about. So when I'm hearing about government going to take costs for transfer of notary fees and all kind of nonsense, For me, that don't measure up. I am not saying it. Go out and listen to the people out there. The people out there is crying shame on this government that more could not be done and more wasn't done in order to afford them the opportunity to buy those houses for a better price. And Madam Speaker, I leave it at that. Whatever is said after, that is the end of it for me.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Councilman Clyde Van Putten. Commissioner
Me.
Leodan,
Yes.
you may continue to respond
I
to
just-
the questions from the members of the Island Council.
Yeah,
I think you
that
are
was the
questions
ending.
from Councilman Schmidt.
No, that was the ending.
That was the
The
ending.
last question we answered. Oh, just had all Councilman Van Putten that investment question that would lead to this whole discussion. But I wanted to make one statement again on this. A last statement that, well, two statements, sorry. One is that out of the 25 houses that we can sell, 38 persons want to buy at cost price. So I don't know who's out there crying a burning shame because they're knocking at the commissioner door saying, what is holding up the sale? I want to buy my house. So we can tell the whole facts here. Well, but then if it's a burning
Councilman
shame,
Van Putten.
at the end of the day, persons are asking to buy the house at cost. Because not everybody, some people's house is 55, ranging to 71. Maybe a few is above the price market. Secondly, the public got to understand and know, based on the LOE, that when a person's after 10 years want to sell back the house, hopefully the SFH has the first option to buy back this house. So you could go back into the housing market. But guess what? If somebody decided they're not going to fix up the house internally, guess what? How much SFH had to buy the house for? Market value. So if you buy the house for $20,000, SFH have to pay that same 60, 75 way ball not crying shame for to buy the house to go back in the market value, the market housing, and they have to still fix it. So let's be realistic. Let's be realistic and not sell a false story. Let's tell the truth. And the truth is, and I ain't come here to fight nobody here today, but I'm tired of this discussion, and the truth got to be told. The truth is that we are investing $250,000 already in the sale of these homes. We are investing in the people already. So I don't understand what is a crying shame. People are pounding on the door of the commissioner, asking him to buy the house. So you putting us through this whole journey of a subsidy for 25 people who begging to buy the house at cost value. Then my question is, what are we doing? We are coming back and we are giving them the promise that we made for home ownership.
Point of clarification
And this is
by
what
Councilman Van
we are
Putten.
doing, and this is how it have to be done. I like to be very fair, tell the whole story, and let people draw their own conclusion from that. And that's why I say today, not the Commissioner of Housing, but I say it here today, and I put a whole story on the table.
Councilman
So
Van
when the
Putten,
story and
Ms.
the discussion
Leda,
is on the
Ms. Leda,
floor,
Councilman Van
everybody
Putten.
know what is going on.
Madam Speaker, I said it was the last, but if we want to talk the facts, I told you when anything come in here, they jump on me, but my back is broad. When the motion was passed, Madam Speaker, it was voted upon by 3 members from the PLP faction. I remember in Union, over there, I think they call it the new place, the new village over there, I forget the name of it. I never forget in the campaign, the Commissioner of Housing stood up. He said, I will make sure you are able to purchase those houses and not the market value they're talking about. Madam Speaker, in the campaign, we say one thing, but when we sit in there, it is something different. And those people, they may not understand because some of us live in ivory towers, and we don't understand the pain and the suffering of the small men. And yes, people might be knocking on the door, but how? They don't have no choice. They want to own the home, so automatically with family members, they will make the sacrifice to buy the houses. But again, I'm saying, lest we forget, Madam Speaker, and that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Councilman Van Putten. Commissioner, any final remarks
Again,
before we go to round 2?
When I signed up to become commissioner, I signed up to become commissioner to obey the law. And that's what I have been doing up to now. And when it comes to that, if I can't follow the law, then it's a simple decision for me. Then I'm gone. And I ain't going to wait on no council to tell me you got to go. If the council don't want me, I go back Princess. It's simple as that. In whatever, if I live in an Ivory Tower, I didn't steal to put it there, and I didn't get it as a gift. I work for it. Anything I want and anything I do in whatever position I am, I work for it. So, it's a straightforward process in life. If you work for something, it has benefit. If you don't work for it, yeah. And pertaining to the sale of the Golden Rock houses, I don't recall what I made during what promises I made during the campaign process. But if it's something is fair, you have my support. And for these people to own homes, I'm fully for it. I'm never going to be against anybody owning anything. And if I can help anybody do anything, that's the way I live. I try to help people to add value to whatever process they're in. And I think I'm going to leave it there.
Thank you very much. We are about to enter round 2. I look to the council because I've also been informed by the registrar and her team that our lunch has arrived. Is the council willing to continue to round 2 so that we can conclude this meeting, or is there a need for a lunch break? Lunch break? 30 minutes? I have the signal from both factions in the Island Council that we will have a lunch break. This means we will resume our meeting at 2 minutes past 2 p.m. Meeting is herewith adjourned. I herewith resume this Island Council meeting of St. Eustatius for today, Thursday, September 11th. We are heading into round 2 on agenda point 7, which regards second quarterly implementation report and second budget amendment 2025. Round 2, 10-minute speaking time, and our first speaker is Council Lady Mercedes Lopes Spanner.
Good afternoon, everyone. I just wanted to make mention about the flexible person within government. What I was hoping when I heard about the flexible person, I was hoping that it means that if somebody is out or whatever, they would be the one filling in. And why more than ever I thought about that, because June, July, August, we had so much, we had a lot of concern in the community where people was complaining that they worked for government over 3 months and they were not being paid. And it was to me a bit embarrassing. Different people came to me at my home asking and complaining and fretting, and I'm sure they talked to you, the other Island Council members as well, concerning it. So I'm hoping that something like this would not occur again, and that's what I'm looking at, the point of finding a solution. I hope a solution was made where that's concerned, that it don't be repeated, that people can be paid in due time for their invoice when they send them in. So that's why I was hoping that the flexible person would be something like that. If somebody going on vacation or sick, that somebody can fill in. And the reason why I'm saying this too, because I remember like long time ago, like say for instance like Winia. The persons working here on Winia, they does everything, load sheet, everything. But when in St. Martin they were specifying on one thing. They're doing a load sheet alone. They're doing other person doing filling in the names. But here in Statia, one person was doing everything. And so that's where I would hope that one day we have a few people in government who can work at different departments. If somebody calling sick, somebody have to work, they are being able to fall in, so that we would never have that like shortage of personnel. Okay, so that's one thing that I wanted to make a point on, and I wanted to so agree with what Councilman Simmons said about people, because of the monies not received on time, where you pay interest. You have to pay interest because many invoices what I get, I have to go to government. They are making they are telling you if you don't pay within this time, you have to pay this amount, and if they go on, if it's longer, you have to pay. It go up to a more higher percentage. So that's something good, and if government implement something like that, that would be good. I would be hoping that it be late every month. So I really agree with that, and that's something that I think you all need to look into, so that can be the case. And then I just wanted to add on page 15 on the primary function 4. Does the government provide funding for schools on Statia alongside a lump sum funding that they receive from the Ministry of Education? What is the policy, and are all schools aware of the possibility to request additional funding or subsidy from government? Which school receive this extra funding, this extra support, in 2024 and in 2025. Were these funds budgeted in the 2024 and again 2025? How much money is budgeted for this year? Thank you.
Thank you, Council Lady Mercedes Lopes-Spanner. Our second speaker is Councilman Clyde Van Putten.
Use the second round to make a statement. Whenever I come to this Island Council, I don't come to target individuals. I come to do the job that the people elected me to do. I said at the beginning of this term, like I did in previous term, even when it's my party members, that I will hold them accountable. I have come to realize, and I said it before, and I will restate it again, it depends on who say what and who asks what. Every member of this council, whether it be on this side of the aisles or the other side of the aisles, are responsible for the action. And sometimes as a member with experience, someone that would stand up and demand accountability, you become the target. And I'm not afraid of that. I went through this before. There's a cliche out there that Clyde can't work with nobody. And a lot of people know that, and they try to build on it. But I don't have a problem because my political arbitrary was written before. And maybe there are those who would try to write it again. But I have made my position clear where politics is concerned. But again, I'm saying I am here to do a job, and a job I will do. A lot of people wonder why the people continue to vote for Clyde over the years. I don't lie to the people. And if I make a promise, I do my utmost best to comply. And if I realize I cannot comply, then I will go and defend it to the people. But if I am supporting the government and I cannot question the government and force the government to give accountability, then it becomes a crisis. Madam Speaker, Holland have accomplished its goal, that divide and conquer. They have accomplished it. I will never ever be a rubber stamp. And if the time comes when I realize people expect me to be a rubber stamp, then I would leave. I would leave. I had a number of other questions to ask. Like I said before, even if I know, and very often government make decisions I don't know. That's a reality. And I support the government. I have been that faithful soldier through thick and thin, even though with differences of opinion. I stay in line and I support the government even when I don't know. But Madam Speaker, the time has come that we must stand and be counted. And so I will not ask any more questions. I will go back to the people. The people elected me to be here. And I will go back to the people. And when those consultations have reached a point, then I will let the nation know where I stand as far as my future involvement or my future support. I am not a rubber stamp. I will never ever be a rubber stamp. I can't say something out there yesterday, and because the circumstances changes, then I say something different today. I never said the government should violate any law, because that's what they like to say. I never said that. But I'm here long enough with experience and knowledge, and this is my area of study as well, to know that any law that is there, they can be negotiated like you just said earlier. We don't agree with what they're doing with the fin best fall best. And we're talking about negotiation. And that is my point. Negotiation. Taking responsibility for our own action, but also ensuring that we are going to do things that will help to make the lives of individuals better. I ain't no doctor on this. What I have, I work for as well. In all my 40 plus years, bribes was offered. As senator, as island council members, commissioners, leader of the government that I led, but I have never been tempted, because the parents that I had taught me values. Elwyn Leslie and Louise Van Putten and the late Machi. I came up among them. They taught me values. And I will never forget. Because if we forget where we came from and where we want to go, Madam Speaker, we are in a trouble. But the time of reckoning is at hand. It's at hand. And the public will be the ones to judge who did what, who didn't do what, who said what, and who didn't say what. But again, I'm saying that the only thing in life can change is who you are and the 10 Commandments. Those 10 Commandments put there by God, they cannot change. And anything that I say or do, I must be able to live with my conscience. My children and grandchildren must be able to walk the streets of these Caribbean islands, especially these Caribbean islands, and they would say maybe your father mouth was big, he didn't always agree, make a lot of noise, but he stood up for what was right. He stood up for what was right. Like I said, I had a number of other questions, and it was not to condemn the government, because I support the government. But if government is making decisions, and I have concerns, if I don't know, and I ask questions, and it become personal, where people feel, because early in the day, I heard we send letters, it is, and I always make sure the faction leader, that it is signed by the 3 members. But I know the attack won't come on me. But bring it on. I am not afraid. I went through this already. I went through hell. Because I said before, Clyde is going to contribute, because I didn't win it alone, contribute at winning elections. But when it's over, seemingly, he have nothing to say. I am not the rubber stamp. People voted for me as well. And I'm here not only defending them, but defending the oaths that I took to preserve, protect, and defend. And Speaker, when it reached to this point, I know the core values what the PLP was built on. And I said before, and I'm going to say it again today, I am at a loss sometime when I see the choices we make, the things that we support, the things that we don't stand up and go against when it's not in the interest of what we believe and what we promise the people. I will leave it here. Maybe in the future from here, I will just come. And maybe I don't ask anything. Let the public decide, because one thing I realize, when you're outspoken, you're targeted. You're targeted. And I know no doubt I will be targeted today until they have an issue. Then the first person to run to is me. But I am going to stand up to defend that oath that I took. This seat, Madam Speaker, that I have, it's the people's seat. And the people is power. And I'm not going to play power play. But I'm going to use this seat, Madam Speaker, for the remainder of this term, if God spare my life, to ensure that the best can be had and achieved on behalf of the people. So, Madam Speaker, I will leave it here. When the time comes to vote, I will decide what I will do, and then from here, I will go back to the base. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilman Clyde Van Putten. Our third speaker is Councilman Derek Simmons. You may address the meeting.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Sometimes I think it's unfortunate that we get in these discussions, and I think we're comparing apples and oranges. I have a problem personally with the way they calculate the market value. I express it, and I say there's a problem with that formula. Like everything, there's a lot of colonial manipulation going on with these things. And if you could have a minister, by a stroke of a pen, ignore that market value, to me, that isn't fair. And in Holland, you have a lot of these woon coöperaties that go around and they just take houses that they don't put any money in, and then they'll get money from government to invest more money, and all they're doing is shuffling monies around. A few weeks ago, I saw a resolution that was signed by the gentleman that is leading the cause in Bonnier back. Knows Bonnier back. And a resolution was signed by these Latin countries. So I sent him a WhatsApp and asked him, what's his plan? The reason why I asked that plan is you have to be cognizant of your reality. You're dealing with colonialism. A lot of vote buying takes place on that UN level. It's nothing that St. Kitts is getting all that money from the Netherlands and we here struggling to make ends meet. But if you do something, they're ready to condemn you, criminalize you. Why? On that level where they're supposed to lead the charge and show you right from wrong, this thing is happening. You have resolutions where 100 and something is voting, and you'll see 90% abstain from voting. And just a couple votes, and then you see it pass by a couple countries. It's not moral. And that is the reality. Coming back to the market value. We have our reality to live with. Our people, we base our decision based on core values. Our people should own a part of the rock. Now, when people ask me to make a choice, sometimes I just get upset when they ask decision, if you're sure, if you point. If you ask me, black or blue, black is my color. A week ago, someone asked me, what kind of shirt do you want? I said, I want a black shirt. Gone discussion, what about blue? What about this? I said, that's your choice. Black is mine. They're in the shop. They point, black shirt, okay, yeah, that looks good. Then they turn to a blue shirt. Do you want that shirt? I said, no. And they got upset because, it sounded like I answer rough. I said, listen, I answered that question many, many times. I told you what my choice is. You are now questioning whether I want a blue shirt or black shirt. My choice, I choose black. And then we come to decisions here as Island Council members where you say we have a choice. We make a choice. You shouldn't be questioning our choice. If this is the choice, that is the choice you're going with. The reason why I say that is when you start changing your decision, it's constantly going to become complicated. You change your decision, hey, I'm going to go there. You mentioned whether 25 homes or the building for the airport. Hangar. That's the choice. Now suppose we say, hey, let's put it in the hangar. It would not surprise me. 10 years later, we're still here trying to finalize this thing with a hangar. Because you're dealing with a colonial system. And they try to manipulate you. They don't want you to get anywhere. What happened in St. Martin earlier this week is a clear illustration why we need to build this island. It can't be that you have jets flying out there, flying around, one incident, just one runway, shut down, and you're closed for business. You should be able to also support what is sort of a local hub. I believe Anguilla, which is right near, probably was used to divert certain traffic. We are trying to also get a piece of the pie, but there are things that are keeping us back. And what I'm saying is we have choices. Sometimes those choices aren't easy, as in simple, but it shouldn't be labeled as illegal. I have a problem with that. Because we are working with a corrupt system. colonial. You're trying to work around it. You're trying to do your best. And then, you hear these things. And sometimes you could see it coming. You're there in a committee, you're talking about how you mention a possibility, and from the other side, they're going to say market value. Have a problem with that. I could read and write, and I didn't go to school in the night, thankful. I am thankful I consider, because it sends a message, because it knows that you can read, you can write, and the light is on. And I didn't born yesterday. And saying all of that is sometimes they do not respect us. They do not take our creativity as genuine. And they see that you're trying to circumvent things. The system is what it is. It's our reality. We're just trying to live in it. And if you don't do anything, basically you're going to become, let's say, a rubber stamp, and you could just move on, and the next one will come in. And I feel with my short time here, whether I'm here or not, I try to contribute. Like I said many weeks ago, when I started to work for government, I had in my mind government is inefficient. The way they spend money, it's ridiculous. But that's how it is. And my goal is, how can I come and contribute? So much years later, I'm still here, trying to contribute. And I don't see myself as a regular civil servant. I multitask. But as then I used to ask, whatever you see is a problem, come to me, and I will see what I can do. Not everyone is like that. And I remember also being told that I'm a fool because you're doing all those work for free. It has nothing to do with money. It has to do with commitment. You want to see your island move forward. And with persons like that, and I don't believe you have, they have civil servants that work in the civil corps that has that certain belief. But it shouldn't be that you are abusing them and not paying them extra for that extra work that you're doing. Often when I say that, people think that I'm saying it for myself. Say, no, you don't have to pay me. I'll do it for free. I even pay you to do the work because my goal is to see the work done. But everyone is not me. And I don't know, and I will say, you don't know how deep someone else's pocket is. And sometimes they have to make decisions based on their situation. So coming back, when it comes to different issues, sometimes I think we just talk past each other. You're trying to have a discussion, you state one thing, that's stated and leave it there. And do not give the impression that we are not on the same side. I believe we are fighting for the same thing. We have kind of, in general, what we want, and let's get it done. But the problem is we are dealing with a system that is not made for us. And sometimes I look at it as we probably in a movie where one person decides for us. But we have to try and change that. It wasn't created overnight, so overnight is not going to change. It's going to take a process to have it done. Let's get it done and not basically end up, like you said, divide and conquer. Let's see where we could... the councilman told me a couple times when I told him I wasn't coming here, he said you need to add water to the wine. And I tell him, to me, then you'll get watery wine. And I say, okay, then we'll end up with what? Rewind, and we'll get it done. So I just feel I have to say that.
Thank you for your contribution, Councilman Derek Simmons. That ends your part in round 2. We move over to Council Lady Raquel Spanner-Carty as the 4th speaker.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have nothing to add.
Thank you, Council Lady Spanner-Carty. Councilman Glenville Schmidt is the 5th speaker, and he's not here at the moment, so this concludes round 2. There are some questions, I believe, from Council Lady Mercedes Lopes Spanner that needs addressing by Commissioners Merkman and Leerdam.
The questions from Council Lady Slopes Spanner about a flexible person working. I think that's something that in my conversation with the unit manager, he said they're going to have a discussion. They're going to have a discussion upcoming week about fractional management. It's kind of like people working like type of like a backup, you know, and in what Council Lady is saying about people being all around. Those in any kind of, well, I used to play a little bit of sport. So if you have somebody that is all around, they are more valuable to the organization than somebody that is specialized. Because if you have a specialized person, if you have a specialized hitter, he can only, one thing he could do. But if you have an all-around hitter, he's more valuable to the team. And OLA, the Civil Corps, is supposed to be a team. All of us supposed to be functioning with our head in the same direction. So what the Council Lady is motivating us to get into, I fully support that. Because with the fractional management, what would happen is that you would have people that will be working as can work like backup. If something is not going, or some people are not in office, you can always call on these person to work maybe 2 hours to fill in here and there. So that's a very good idea. And then the next question, does the government also provide funding for schools on station? Technically, government, and I want to choose my words very carefully, government is not supposed to be funding schools in station, but there are some BUs that can be that we get for schools. So right now, the other school, the government is doing some funding. The other schools have yet to submit a proposal. From what I understand, the governor of the graph is awaiting prices, and each school can get up to $30,000, and the GVP school $50,000, and the NCF can also get. So thank you for bringing that to the light, and I would also like to encourage the various schools. If you don't have the information, and you hear about this, don't be afraid to reach out, because we will definitely help you in trying to get this funding. And I will also make it my business, Council Lady, to inform the schools. I will make a follow-up on it with passing the information to the principals and to the principals, because it's something that I wanted to do, and somebody else slipped me that I should have done it. But this process, some of the process is already ongoing.
Madam Chair.
Continue, Commissioner Leerdam.
Well, Commissioner answered the questions. I just want to make a statement, if I may, Madam Chair.
Is it related to the topic?
Well, the topics that we've been discussing.
Okay, you may
All right,
continue.
thank you very much.
You may continue.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I stand here. Of course, I didn't like what we played on the floor of the council, but I wanted to be very, very clear that we do not silence anybody, and we believe that the Island Council have a role to play, and that is accountability. But in that particular discussion, we weren't shying away from being questioned. We just gave the information forward. And it was not targeting one councilman, because I said the faction. The faction got to know what they want, because you did see the faction sent in a document. At the end of the day, we are trying to get the best for Stacia. Stacia is the forward. And like I said...
I ask that you address the chair and no particular member of the Island Council.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, Madam Chair, as I was stating, when I saw in, I said at the end of the day, Stacia is the focal point. And if it's constructing working with these commissioners, I have no issue sitting back and discussing with the council members how they want to have a different construct. At the end of the day, Stacia is the focal point. It's not about me. It's not about commissioners. It's about what is the best for Stacia and how we can achieve this for Stacia. So, this is not to make anybody feel, Madam Chair, alienated. I am answering the question the best I can answer, and I'm answering them factually. And if by me answering factually creates attention, then that's an issue. But at the end of the day, I welcome all the questions. I welcome accountability, because that's what we signed up for, accountability. At the end of the day, I can't ask to be holding the civil servants accountable, and I don't want to be held accountable myself. So, like I said, we welcome all the questions, and we could answer as much as possible. I believe everybody have a vital role in the Island Council, and I do hope everybody remain. And like I said, we are here wearing black today for a reason. If we had the autonomy level that we had, maybe half of these things, like Councilman Simmons said, wouldn't be a discussion, because now you have certain level of movement. You're not restricted by investment. No, certain things you have to go through foreign affairs people because you're a gemeente, a special municipality, so these things are not your jurisdiction. We don't have the level of autonomy like St. Martin, Aruba, and Curacao has, that maybe they can get up tomorrow and make a step. We have to go through unadministered, whether you like it or not. That is the situation that we're in right now. These are the things we're fighting against. But it's not going to happen tomorrow, so we have to find a creative way to deal with it. At the end of the day, Stacia is at a critical stage, and we just need to stay focused and try to receive all that we can and give back what we need, so that we can try to charter Stacia out of these rough waters, because all of us, we're all struggling. I just want to leave it there, Madam Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Leerdam, and thank you also, Commissioner Ruben Merkman. This concludes the discussion and question answers on agenda point 7, which is the second quarterly implementation report and the second budget amendment for 2025. We will now go over to a vote. I will hear now your vote per roll call, hoofdelijke stemming, and I will do the round as per the order. And there are those who may want to motivate their vote, and you are also free to do that. So I go through the list. Council Lady Mercedes Lopes-Spanner, you may now express your vote.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I am voting for.
Thank you, Council Lady Lopes-Spanner. Councilman Clyde Van Putten, you may now express your vote.
Your permission. Like I said before, when I come here, I come with a clear and open conscience to be able to make a positive contribution in the interest of the country. But when as a council member, I feel that my input, my contribution is questioned, then I have a problem with that. I am asked, Madam Speaker, to vote for a second quarterly report and also the amendment to the budget. And Madam Speaker, seemingly, I'm just saying seemingly, I don't really have any input with what is taking place. As I said before, I need to live with my conscience. I value this seat that was given to me by the people. And taking all that was said today, taking the developments that have been taking place before, in a clear conscience, I cannot support this, and therefore I vote against.
Thank you, Councilman Clyde Van Putten. Councilman Derek Simmons, you may now express your vote.
Vote for.
Thank you, Councilman Simmons. Council Lady Raquel Spanner-Carty, you may express your vote.
I vote for, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Council Lady Raquel Spanner-Carty. Final speaker to express his vote is Councilman Glenville Schmidt.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I guess I missed my second round. I had some things to say, but at any rate, I'll vote for this second quarterly report.
I conclude that after the vote, there are 4 votes for, and there is 1 vote against. By majority, the budget amendment is herewith approved. Thank you to the members of the Island Council for a very informative meeting today. Agenda point 8 is announcements by the Executive Council and the Governor in accordance to Articles 49 and 50 of the Regulation of Order of the Island Council. Commissioners, Merkman and Leerdam, any announcements on your part?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would just like to invite the public this evening to the Madam Theatre event where we want to have some consultation with the public. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, to be more specific, that is a consultation on the development plans and the modernization of the Madam Theatre, better known as Charlie's Place. Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Merkman, any announcements on your part? At this time, thank you, Commissioner. At this point, on behalf of the Civil Service Organization, I would like to express profound condolences to those family members of the deceased, especially Screwhart and Van Putten, and extended families for the loss of your loved one, and in particular those of you who are in government employ. We have already, by way of writing, expressed our condolences to you. Know that as an organization, we share in your loss. Agenda point 9 is the closing, and we have now come to the end of our meeting for today, and I want to thank you once again for fruitful discussion. I ask us all to please show our respect for the anthem by standing as we bring our meeting for today to a close. This meeting is herewith officially closed.